What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This, the Red and the Sal Rivers. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, here in Manitoba, you are allowed only one rod per licensed angler. When doing some ice fishing, you're allowed two. The rest of the time, you're only allowed one rod. Now, I do have quite a lot of gear, nothing special, nothing fancy. Maybe someday, when I'm big, I'll maybe get some Orvis fly fishing rods or a Croy rod or something. But a lot of the things I have been handed down through the years to me by my father or my uncle. And a lot of the things I have I actually don't use that much because I always have to plan what type of fish I'm trying to catch, and therefore I'm not always bringing all of my gear, or sometimes I leave things in storage for way too long. So for today's video, I'm going to use something that's been in storage for quite a while, see if we can get on some fish. But to do that, I want to show you what we're going to be using out there. Alright, so today I'm going to be using my Berkeley big game rod out there today. This is something I bought quite a while back, but haven't used that much for one simple fact. I don't really have a lot of reels that can fit with this type of rod. This is actually more for fishing off of a boat or something. And even though I have used it for some top water fishing stuff, not ideal for that. But when going through all of my gear, I finally found something that might work on this little rod. And over here we have a Penn number 85. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I got this reel from my father or whether it was my uncle that gave it to me. I'm not quite sure which one of the two, but that doesn't matter which one. I'm thankful for both of them, for all of the stuff I've gotten from them over the years. And this is a very old vintage type of reel that we're going to be using out there today. The Penn 85, this was something that was made from 1941 all the way to 1990s. And the cool thing about the Penn reel is you can tell the age by the little handle it has on there, but that's only if it's the original handle. In this case, we have the white handle. The white handle was from the range of the 1970s. So this reel might be something like 50 years old. Of course, the colors are for the decades, so it can be anywhere in that decade this was made. That's why I say might be 50 years old, not really sure. So it's an old reel, old school reel, but a pretty cool one to be using. And it's actually very simple. You have the little on and off switch to release the line. That's what you're going to use to be casting. You have a little clicker on here as well, and a drag setting, a little lever to reel in. Very simple, basic reel. One that I've actually never fished with before. I probably have had this reel now for 20 years and I've never actually used it. And now I actually have a setup where I can use it, so we're going to use this out there today. Just going to put on a basic little circle hook, a big lead weight. Going to get it out there with some baits, see if we get on any fish. Alright, so having never used this before, I'm quite nervous about the first cast. Not really sure what to expect. All I know is I'm supposed to be thumbing this little thing when casting and not supposed to try and make the biggest cast out there. Otherwise you'll get backlash. But I'm going to give it a go. We'll get it out there, let it soak in the water, see if we get some fish. And exactly like I predicted, not using my thumb, and we get a big crow's nest that I first need to sort out. Alright, so we got our little crow's nest sorted out, and the baits are out there. We'll now wait for a fish. Now, this is the exact thing that's made me not use this reel at all, is the fear of getting a crow's nest like that, or messing it up, or failing. And that is the complete wrong mindset to have. Yes, you are going to have some failures from time to time, but that is how we learn. We need these little mistakes to learn from it and to grow.
hours later.
Alright, it's been several hours with a few rebaits in between, not even getting any hits. We finally get something. It's weird to see all of the fish jumping around and not land anything. Lots of red horse and quillback suckerfish jumping around. Saw some goldeye. Finally we get a little bite. And it's a carp. Was not expecting getting some carp today. But hey, if nothing else is willing to bite, I'll be happy to take a carp as well. Now, being a very old reel, it's still nice that this reel can handle big fish like this quite easily. Whenever using an old reel, it might seize up or anything. So this reel is in a good condition still, probably because it's not been used that much for salt water. There we go. Got ourselves a decent little carp. Was starting to think we weren't going to get any fish today. Seeing a lot of activity, but not getting a lot of fish. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get a little carp. Let's get this guy back to the water. Strong kick from him, and he's off. Chose this particular spot because we have a little rock here granting me access to the water, because this mud is very sticky. You don't want to get stuck in that. But that's our first little fish landed. First fish for me on this reel. Happy that the reel still works, but we still do have some baits and time. So let's get it back out there, see if we get something different. Been having quite a good few casts where I haven't had any crow's nest, but again, getting this one out there, get another nest. Been quite a bit of a learning experience, but fun playing with this reel. Alright, ladies and gents, I should probably remark that the Penn number 85 is actually made for ocean fishing. And this particular reel is actually what inspired quite a lot of the catfish reels and bait casters we have today. It's because of this vintage reel that a lot of the things we use today, they got designed. And in my mind, this was going to be a day where I casted my baits out there and we would have gotten a big catfish to grab a hold of our baits, peel out some of the line so we can hear the little clicker. And that would have given me an idea of if this rod and reel setup can handle big fish. That was my plan. So in some way, I kind of did fail out there today. We didn't get any catfish. Now the funny thing is, quite a lot of fish activity in the area. You can see fish jumping constantly everywhere. I don't know whether this is maybe because of the approaching storm, or maybe they're spawning or something, but the fish weren't that active. But in the end, we at least got on a big carp at least. And that is kind of ironic that I grew up carp fishing, but at least we got a fish, and I got to feel how it feels fighting fish on this little setup. And I have to say that little carp, he didn't put up much of a fight. I'm thinking that this setup can handle big fish, so maybe I'll give it another try out there at some stage. So even though I didn't get the big catfish that I wanted, we were still successful for one simple reason. I wanted to test out a little reel that I've never used before, and I learned quite a lot out there. Yes, a lot of my casts weren't that successful. Got a bunch of crow nests that I had to figure out, sort out before continuing to fishing. That is actually very important because we need to remember that fishing is also a hobby. And the main idea behind a hobby is learning something new, growing your skill sets. If you only do the same thing over and over again, you will never actually learn or improve. Every once in a while, you need to challenge yourself, do something new, figure something new out. So even though I didn't get the exact fish that I wanted out there, still had a pretty good time, and I hope you would give me a thumbs up for catching some fish at least. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting subscribe, joining my community. Alright, so even though this might not have been the most exciting video for you guys, it was still a lot of fun for me to do, and I want to thank you for following along on this trip. And like always, I'll see you next time.